It's the game, the big game weekend. What's going on, guys? This is Jerome, and this is the RPO College Football Podcast, your favorite college football podcast. I am excited. I am tired. I am cold, but none of that matters because today is the game. Michigan, number 3. Ohio State, number 2. Winner goes to the playoffs. Loser most likely don't stay in it, man. I'm excited, but I don't want to take up all the time because I do have the man, the myth, the legend in the same presence as myself, Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good. How do you feel on a weekend like this? I mean, I know you don't like Michigan. I know you're not too fond of Ohio State. You know, how somebody that's in the middle, how do you feel when these games come up? Because this is like, it's called the game for a reason. It's because Michigan and Ohio State plays at the end of the year every season. Usually they're pretty good or they rival each other. What's your thoughts on this rivalry and, you know, how from an outside perspective, how this game kind of feels for you leading up to it?
I think that, again, I talk about it all the time. I just want good football. Correct. I think it'll be a good game. That's all. Yeah. I'm excited about watching a good football game between two good teams.
Correct. And we're going to get into this game a little bit, but I just want to say, I know Jim Harbaugh's not there, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but this team is going to rally for him. Trust me, they're going to rally for him. But we're going to talk about it. But let's get into some of our games from Week 12, man, because we had a lot of really good games. And I think that we need to talk about it, man. And I just want to jump right into it with the Week 12 recap. Let's get to the first game. Let's talk about the game last week, man. Let's talk about Michigan and versus Maryland. There you go. I was about to say Minnesota for whatever reason. But let's talk about it, man, because it was a very close game for whatever reason. I think that Michigan didn't look good at first. JJ McCaffrey threw an interception in that game to keep it real close. Corum had a good game, not a great game. Had 28 rushes, only 94 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns. His longest run was 14 yards. Donovan Edwards couldn't really run the ball himself. 39 yards on 11 attempts. Didn't run that much. What's your overall thoughts on this game, Ray?
Maryland loaded the box trying to stop Michigan from running the ball, and they did a really good job of it. And we know for a team like Maryland, this is like their season. You know what I mean? So they just wanted to beat Michigan, and they gave it a really, really, really good effort. Michigan didn't really let Maryland run the ball, which they usually are a decent team.
Rise and Fitness, thanks for getting in here, man. He says if Michigan beat Ohio State, the fan base will start to look at Ryan Day sideways. I agree because Ryan Day came out, really flying and really high with Ohio State, and then the last 2 years they lost. And I was never a big Ryan Day guy, to be honest. I think he inherited a really good team. He was able to still recruit really well. I think a lot of that lied on Brian Hartline. So I'm not the biggest fan of him. I got to give credit where credit's due. He's playing very well since he's been here, but how much is that him more than some of the talent? I don't know, but we'll get into that. I just wanted to comment on that. But go ahead, Ray.
Again, Maryland went out there and played a really good game. Their quarterback, Tagovailoa, had a very solid game.
Mm-hmm.
Kept them in the game for as long as they could. And in the end, you just saw Michigan outlast them because they're a more talented team. So
yeah, I think it's a big situation where Michigan typically does this the game before Ohio State. They play very bad. I don't know what it is. Well, I kind of know what it is. It's kind of looking ahead a little bit. You always say one game at a time, but you can't help but to look at a game of this magnitude, because this is big. This is essentially make or break. This game essentially tells you if you're going to go in the playoffs or not. You know, I don't think, especially in Michigan's spot, that you can lose this game and still expect to get a playoff spot.
I think if this is where what I vary from what other people are saying, this is the game to decide on who's going to be a playoff team. I think if Michigan were to lose a close game,
yeah,
they could wind up still being in the playoffs. Where I don't think Ohio State would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Ohio State, maybe no matter what, might still get in. Same thing like last year, might get that 4th seed. If anything, I think last year we won. We went to 2, and Ohio State went to 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but again, Ohio State was coming into that game unbeaten, and then only lost a close game to Michigan. So you could justify.
It wasn't a close game. That game was not close.
Oh, you're right. It wasn't. Michigan actually beat up on them in that game.
Yeah, the last 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that Michigan. Ohio State won't make it in if they lose this game, because you can't justify putting a 2-win team in the playoffs where, there were probably going to be some other teams that only have 1 win or no, or 1 loss or no losses. So you can't really justify that.
Well, Ohio State is undefeated right now.
Oh,
so is Michigan. Yeah, the top 4, all top 4 teams are undefeated.
You know what, Jerome? I think I think that either team, if it's a close game, I think both teams can wind up as a playoff team. I do.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, because we also have to see how Alabama plays in next week. Because if they wind up beating Georgia, then we're gonna have to reconsider.
Well, of course, if they wind up beating Georgia, it would be the same situation where Georgia could still wind up being in the playoffs, and Alabama would probably elevate themselves into that status if that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But back to this game, I think that, I'll say this. Michigan's defense is real. And I've been saying this the last couple of weeks, man. Again, I don't think we have a single first-round pick on this defense at the moment. Now, I'm not saying that somebody can emerge to the first round in the future years. For 2024, I don't think we have a first-round pick on this defense. You had a couple of first-round picks in the last couple of years, having, Hutchinson or Ojabo, things like that, players like that in the first round. This year,
wasn't Najee a first-round pick last year too for Dallas?
Yeah, Najee, yep.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of first-round picks the last couple of years. I think, if there is one person that could be a first-round pick on his defense, might be Chris Jenkins, might. And saying that, it's very incredible. It's crazy how, this defense is playing. I think Jackson Hill was another first-round pick too.
Yeah.
Drax Hill, sorry, not Jackson. Yeah. But yeah, so looking at this defense, man, this defense is really good. Only holding Maryland to 15 yards rushing. They had a couple of passing yards. They allow, some passing, but I just in a game, you're just gonna allow passing yards. But to get 2 interceptions, my guy Mike Steubenville is a boss. I like him a lot. He actually started off as a receiver. They didn't put him on defense. They have him as a slot corner right now, and he is balling. That kid is amazing. If there was a case for a first-round pick, it would be him too, I think. Right now, he's only playing slot, though, so I don't know you could get a first-round pick out of a slot. But he's balling. I love that kid. I wholeheartedly think or hope he goes to the Senior Bowl this year. It's going to be cool to see if he does. But that kid is balling. Like, I don't think enough people are talking about Steubenville.
Yeah. I'm just looking at today's schedule, so
Definitely.
There were a lot of big games today, though. Yeah. Ohio State. Washington is playing Oregon, so that's a big game. Florida and Florida State, not a huge game for Florida State needs a win, but not a huge game.
We'll talk about that.
And again, Washington playing Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. got some good games. Got some good games.
Yeah.
As we usually do at the end of the season, which is awesome to see and good. But let's get into some other games real quick, Ray. Let's get into the UNC versus Clemson game, man. Clemson is waking up, 31-20, beat UNC. Klubnik looked really good. In that game, very efficient. Takes the team down the field and to win the game. What's your total thoughts on this one, Ray?
Well, I think that they found what is that? Do you hear that? I hear like a background noise. All right. Well, anyway, I think that Clemson found their run game in this game. I mean, they ran the ball for 248 yards. Shipley and Maffa both have really good games. Shipley had 126 yards on 18 carries. Mafia only had 84. 84 on 23 carries. But as a team, they averaged like 7 yards a carry almost. So
yeah. And I think that the good thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ray.
I mean, you can make your quarterback look better with a good solid run game. So
No, 100%. And I think that Clemson, having Shipley out a little bit kind of allowed them to have a little bit more faith in Maffa. I remember a couple of weeks ago we was talking about this. We was just like, what's going on with Clemson? Like, why are they not using Maffa? Like, I understand that Shipley was out, but I'm like, Maffa's a good running back, and they just seemed like they chose not to use him. Now you can tell they've been using this offense a little bit different and changing up the offense a little bit because Klubnik had 12 rushes himself, which tells you that they was using a lot of RPOs, things like that, especially the fact that they ran the ball, what we say, 41 times with the running backs. Mm-hmm. So that's 41 times, not including Klubnik's 12. So that's a lot. That's a lot of running, and they used the running game. They relied on the running game, and then they used the play action as well. And that really put a damper on UNC's defense. Now, we always kind of say this, UNC's defense is not that great. We get that. But it did make you feel like Clemson woke up in this game.
Again, you need to, if you have a young quarterback like Klubnik's a young quarterback, you need to help him out with the run game a little bit. And we all know that the Clemson's offensive line is not great.
Yeah.
So, to me, being a defensive lineman, which I played in when I played football, when you could push defensive linemen and run the ball and establish the run game, it always helps out the quarterback. I don't understand why people don't get that. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
It's just that simple, man. Like, if I don't have a great offensive line, then I would rather just push guys than try to pass block on every play. I mean, I know it's a passing league. The college and NFL are both passing leagues, but there is something to be said about a good play fake, man, to open up things downfield. I mean, and that's what you saw. You saw with Clemson running the ball, and then they could take shots downfield. Klubnik only had 21 completions, but he ran for 200 and some yards. So he hit some plays when he needed to hit some plays. The run game kept the balance in the offense, and we all know North Carolina's defense isn't great anyway.
Correct.
So the question will be, can Clemson keep the run game and continue to build on what they've done? It's weird because I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I had to disagree with to me after we lost to Louisville. To me, what I wanted the season to be was over, but I do understand the players have to play and continue to play to win games. So,
yeah, definitely. Now, Ray, I know that you're not the biggest Drake May fan, but this is a horrible game from him. Only completing 16 out of 36, 209 yards, one touchdown, but one interception as well. Do you think this dampers his draft stock in any kind of way?
Yes. I'll rephrase that. No, it won't, but it should. Because I think that most people have him and Khalid Williams as a number 1, 2.
1 and 2, yeah.
Whichever way you want to look at it. If you take Drake May over Caleb Williams, and then you just get what you deserve. Like you deserve that. I mean, like,
happens every year though.
it does, but it shouldn't though. Then Drake May's been good for about a year and a half. Caleb Williams is going on his third very, very good year with a second different team.
Mhm.
So it's not like he's been building on. He had to reestablish himself at USC and had a great year last year, won the Heisman, and has had a really good year this year. I mean, I would argue that USC's deficiencies in offensive line, and not being quite as good skill players is what's hurt them this year, and they're a horrible defense, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, since we were on the topic, let's talk about them. USC just lost to UCLA. Now, obviously, rivalry game being in California. UCLA winning 38-20. Now, prior to this game, I was hearing a lot of rumblings about, Chip Kelly might be fired after this game, and this and that. Came out firing, Gabbers. Gabbers is playing. I don't remember if that was a benching of DJ. What's his name? Oh, I forget his name. Quarterback. Not DJ. Forgot his name, Ray. But huh?
For UCLA?
Yeah.
Dante Moore?
Dante Moore, yeah. I don't remember if it was a benching of Dante Moore or just, he got injured or not, but, they had Gabbers in the game. Played pretty well, 18 for 31, only 150 yards, but 3 touchdowns. They ran the ball very efficiently. USC, they kept the ball out of their hands, and that's one of the things that USC really does good is score the football a lot and fast, And UCLA came out firing. 14. It was 14 points in the first quarter. They gave up another 10 after that, so it was 14-10 and a half. And then USC really put it on them in the third quarter. But Ray, what do you think about this game?
I think that we know USC's defense isn't very good, and it showed itself again. The fact that USC didn't even try to run the ball, 3 yards rushing for the game. I mean, we've been saying that if you're gonna have a suspect defense, you might want to run the ball a little bit, try to keep the defense off the field as much as you can.
Yeah,
they were more worried about Caleb Williams winning the Heisman, I guess. I hate to say it, but they don't understand. Like, I know, and and everyone knows, win-loss record should not be the deciding factor in who wins the Heisman. But there are those moments where you play big in big games that will elevate you and help you get to that platform.
Correct. It helps. It helps when you have 2 players that are like neck and neck.
Correct. You see where Caleb Williams is the best player in college football, but he can't play defense.
Chris says, what's up, Chris? Thanks for carrying on. Is the lack of talent USC's defense issue or coaching? Because this trend seems to continue with Lincoln Riley teams. I think it's a little bit of both. Because they do recruit guys. I mean, I got a couple of guys that we interviewed that's on that team as well, and it's just like I don't know. It seems like they're underdeveloped, undercoached. It's weird. It's a weird dynamic with that defense. What do you think, Ray?
I think they don't have as many good players as they have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but you have an offensive-minded coach there now, so that's not unusual.
Yeah.
I think that USC needs to. There's talk about Caleb Williams coming back for next year. If Caleb Williams comes back again, that's just
suspect. You say suspect defense is being too nice.
Agreed. But again, when Pete Carroll was the coach at USC, no one complained about their defense because that was a defensive team who would run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny. He takes that formula to Seattle. It's funny how that formula works at every level of football. Run the ball, play defense. You're going to win games. You may not win the game in the end if you don't have a good quarterback, but it is a good formula for winning games.
I agree.
Pete Carroll took Geno Smith and made him look like a competent quarterback because it's a balanced offense where they're not putting everything on the quarterback to perform. I mean, USC has done this. They had the best player in college football, and they've wasted 2 years of his college career. To be honest with you, he's putting up numbers. He won the Heisman, great for him. But I think he came back to college with the idea they could compete for a national title this year.
I agree.
Their defense has not been good since Pete Carroll left.
Correct.
But I don't think it's all because they don't get players there. I think they're not being coached well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And it's just, I don't know. They need to bring somebody in with a big name or something. They got 2 highly profiled quarterbacks about to come in. And Malachi Nelson, and then you got Juju Lewis, who unfortunately just lost last night, Carrollton, in the playoffs. But they got 2 very highly named quarterbacks about to come in, and you can't keep doing this to these quarterbacks. Eventually, they're gonna be like, "Listen, we don't have no offensive line, we don't have no defense. What we're gonna do? What we're doing here?" Like, I get it. Blanket Roddy's here, but you got to recruit a little bit better than this, man. Got to.
I mean, again, here's the problem. Alex Grinch is USC's defensive coordinator. I don't know nothing about him.
Me neither.
And that's not that I'm the be-all. I'm not. But if I don't at least know your name, like I've heard, like the name, you're probably not that great at what you do, or you're a young guy who hasn't established himself yet. Again, I don't know Grinch from the Grinch That Stole Christmas. I don't. So that's not a good sign, dude, because usually a coordinator gets it elevated to a spot. You'll know the name. You may not know everything about his resume, but you'll know his name. I don't know this gentleman's name, and I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but my thing is when you're an offensive coach or a defensive coach, the hardest thing you're going to do is put a staff on the other side of that ball. That is what cost Brian Flores his job in Miami. His inability to put a good offensive staff around their offense. And this is what's killing USC. I don't think it's all bad players because it's USC. They're not bad players. I mean, I love Eric Gentry, their middle linebacker. C.R. Wright, who's struggled this year a little bit, but he's a good player. Max Williams, Caleb Bullock, they're good players, but there's not enough of them. But again, are you going to get the guys that are primo defensive players if they know you're just an offensive team?
Definitely. By the way, when I just got a little quiet, I was looking this up. Dante Moore did get benched after during the Stanford game. So he did get benched about a month ago. I didn't even realize that. So
I mean, I knew he got benched. You know what, honestly, Jerome, I think part of it is him not. Gab Garbers has more experience. Does he know? Ooh.
I don't want to answer that. I got 2 of my guys on that offense.
USC's defense worse than that. No, USC's defense is worse than his offense.
I agree.
You know, Iowa's at least tries to run the ball. USC can't get out of their own way on defense.
Definitely. He said the Grinch who can't stop any offense.
Right. Exactly. That's a good one. I like that one, Chris. The problem is that, again, if you're USC and you're not willing to run the ball and take a little pressure off of your defense, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you doing? I don't get that at all. I don't. But, man, they're all making a lot of money. So I'm sure they're going to be good. Mike, if it's this, if I'm the AD at USC, I'm like, man, I'm going to help you hire the next defensive coordinator, and we're going to do it together. Again, you're going to get a high-profile guy that wants to come in there and run a defense around USC's offensive juggernaut is the question. I don't know that for sure. But again, man, I don't care about USC. I'm glad you think.
Do you think that is a little bit of part of the problem too? Is that they on the field so much? because that offense can score at
Yeah.
will.
I watched Miami play the Jets yesterday. The Jets defense is out of the top 10 now because they get no help from their offense. We all know, man, you can't be out there sucking wind in the third, fourth quarter and still maintain that high level of defense.
Very true.
So all of a sudden, run plays that weren't working in the second half, or you're being gashed for in the second half.
Yeah, that last run you had at the end of the game was
ridiculous, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They got so tired of and honestly, I hate to see, and I'm not going to say anybody's giving up because they're not going to give up because they're still professional football players. But after a while, you'd be like, man, what are we doing? We can't do anything on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, their best play on offense was the pick they had for the pick six against Tua yesterday. I mean, that was the best offense they had, dude. The whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't do anything on offense. And I don't want to get into the NFL, but again, this doesn't matter. It's football. If your defense is out there longer than 30, 35 minutes a game, every game, it's not a
start getting worn down. Yeah, you start wearing down.
And then it turns into maybe you got by this week, and then next week you're even more tired. And now you get guys hurt.
Yep. Definitely. All right. Speaking of Miami, let's go to the Miami versus Louisville game last week. Now, this was a good one, man. 38-31. Louisville did win the game. They're a top 10 team. They did win the game, but this one was back and forth, right? Louisville did win it at the end of the game, but Ray, what do you think about this one?
It was a good game. We had a lot of really good games last week, which was the exciting part of the weekend.
Yeah.
Louisville is a good team, man. I mean, Miami is a talented roster. Mm-hmm. They're a talented team. I just think that they need to play a little bit. You know what it is with Miami? They don't play complementary football.
Yeah.
They're a good team. They have good
a lot of talent.
But they don't play complementary. You don't.
It's been like that for a few years.
Complement the defense. And you know what I mean? And they've had some coaching decisions that cost them. When you have a lead and there's under a minute left in the game, eat the ball and fall on it, you probably would have had at least one more win that I know of. Because again, like I say all the time, like I'm not a Hurricane fan, but I get a lot of their fan base yelling in my chats and stuff because I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until after a while. I don't care about the Miami Hurricane. But I do care about college football.
Correct.
Because I kind of follow college football. So I listen to what they're saying and I take it all in. But I almost feel bad for them because we talked about this either last week or week before. They're never going to be what they were 15, 20 years ago. It's not not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Paul is a Miami guy, and he's done a good job recruiting there. But you're never going to have the level of dominance that you had back then. It's always going to be where you're second fiddle. Like, let's face it, Florida State, they have a game against Florida. I mean, Florida State plays against Florida today. That's a huge game for Florida State. But Miami is kind of like just treading water right now. And like I like good football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know not everybody's going to be good, but I thought Miami would be better than they are. I think I thought their talent will be better than their record is right now.
100%. Now, I despite the loss, and we talk about Miami having a lot of talent. What's your feelings on this kid, Mark Fletcher Jr., man? He was balling out there. He's only a freshman, and out there, I lost the stat, but I think he had 100-something yards, 2 touchdowns.
126 yards, 17 carries, average over 7 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Now, again, they're talented. They're a talented roster. They don't play complementary football.
Correct.
Like the guys running the ball for like you said, like over 7 yards a carry, they still threw the ball 40 times. Why?
Yeah.
Because you fall behind on it, and you feel like Louisville is that team. They play very much a Vic Fangio type of a defense where they'll let you get yardage in front of them, but they won't let you get any more than that. And that's their mindset. That's their concept on defense. And again, if I were a Louisville fan, I'd be very encouraged by this season. I really absolutely would. and hopefully you can build on it. And that's where we're going to see if Louisville can build on what they've done this year and until next year or the year after that. But I mean, again, it's a good win for Louisville and a bad loss for Miami, because Miami would have won this game. It would have put them in the top as a top 15 team with a nice bowl game. And now that they've lost again, and I know they won yesterday, I don't even know the final score. I just know they won because they were up big in the game. And I don't care about Miami, but I do like competitive football. I do. And I think that, like, Miami needs to play better against better teams. Louisville was that team. They were more physical than you, so they got the end. In the end, they won the game. So
Definitely. As far as the Louisville game, they did play, right?
no, Miami played yesterday.
Oh, Miami. I'm sorry.
Yesterday.
Let me see.
I want to say they
Miami
played
won 45 to 20. Yeah. So, all right, cool. Yeah. So I just realized there was a whole bunch of games this weekend.
They get to weird week because of the holiday drone.
Yeah,
A lot of weird games now.
totally threw me off. So we did have a couple of games that was played already that we didn't get to predict. So we'll switch that up in a little bit. Anyway, let's get to our next game real quick. Washington versus Oregon State. Washington seeks out a win versus Oregon State. The score was 22-20. Washington needs to be careful because they are a top 5 team right now. What's your thoughts on this one, Ray?
Like you said, Washington needs to be very careful about being too conservative on offense and not trying to stay in offense. They were just glad to get out of there with a win, which is fine as long as you're winning. But you don't want to leave too many of them opportunities for teams to jump up and bite you, because again, you have a lot you're playing for this season, and you don't want someone like that to bite you. But again, like Missouri, Florida, 33-31, 22-20. I mean, there was a lot of good games last week, so I'm glad about that. I just didn't think Washington would have had a harder time disposing of Oregon State as they did. That's all.
Definitely. Now, I believe this game was played in the rain, but I think Washington's defense really saved them. There was a lot of fumbles and things like that going in this game that cost Washington. Again, when you have the conditions, and you did see that during the Eagles and Chiefs game, and they did contribute a little bit in that game as well. I think that game was a low-scoring game too, but when you have those conditions, you can't really throw the ball like you really want to. So when you have Michael Penix, who been on a tear right now in Heisman contentions as well, you can't really utilize that as much as you want. You get a lot of drop passes and fumbles and slippery balls. Again, you've seen that in the Eagles Chiefs game, where you see a lot of their guys dropping the ball. Dropping the ball is not an excuse, even when it's raining, because both teams have to catch the ball, but it does make it harder. So you can't throw as much. You have to rely on a ground game a little bit more. And, Washington, squeak out the win, but they really couldn't run the ball either. They had, B. Johnson had 89 yards for 16 attempts. So not a clean game on either side. I think Washington did what they needed to do to win this game. I think Oregon State is a really good team, and shout out to DJ for kind of turning that team around a little bit. But in those conditions, there's gonna be fumbles, this is that, and I think the committee might take some account to that a little bit. So a little bit, maybe. We'll see, because I don't know how much they actually watch football. But that's for another story.
I don't think they do. I think they look at the end result and maybe they check out the stats. They don't watch the games, I don't think. I mean,
yeah. Yeah,
My
they look
question is this. Like you said, Penix struggled in this game. He didn't have a great game.
correct.
But he still threw the ball 28 times.
Yeah,
And
that's what I mean.
you ran the ball. You pretty much ran for over 6 yards a carry as a team. Why did you not continue to just do that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
I don't get that. But again, we know, man, like when you have a quarterback of Penix's talent, you just assume you don't ever assume he's going to have a bad game.
yeah,
But everybody has a bad game, man.
correct.
Everybody has games where struggling. Like you said, where the inclement weather was not conducive to throwing the ball a lot.
Correct.
But both teams tried to throw the ball a lot. So I mean, Ukulele threw the ball for 31 times himself, even though they were averaging 5 yards a carry. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. Why? Like, okay, so between you threw the ball like 50, almost 60 times, but neither team threw the ball for more than 160 some yards.
Yeah.
So why are you doing it when you're averaging 5? Here's a coach, if you're averaging almost a first down every time you touch the ball, run the ball.
I agree. So I just think it's just the era of the football that we're in, man. It's just that everybody wants to pass the ball. And, when that becomes your identity and you have no balance to it, when it is time to run the ball, you really can't.
I was
Or
annoyed
if
with
you
Miami.
can't, you just don't know how to because you're so used to passing it. So
I was annoyed with Miami yesterday in that they were running the ball and they ran the ball a decent amount, but they didn't run the ball in situations where you needed to run the ball.
Right.
It was like 3rd and 1. Okay, you run the ball there if you can. First down throw. Why?
Yeah. My issue too, and I've been saying this through college and NFL, is that when you're in those short yardage situations, and this is why I like what the Eagles are doing with the tush push, brotherly shove, however you want to call it. Teams are just trying to throw the ball, and the one thing I hate is when it's 3rd and 1 and you try to throw the deep ball. Now I understand, that's the situation that you run. It's most likely that a team thinks you're gonna run the ball, and then you just try to hurry up and get it out there. But when you see your receiver locked in with a corner and you try to still throw it up on a 3rd and 1, that drives me crazy. That's like, I'm just give you a chance. No, like you do that. You do give you a chance on 2nd down, 2nd and 8 or something like that. You don't do that on 3rd and 1.
To me, the best throwing downs are 2nd and short.
Yeah.
You have a first down, team gets a 5-yard penalty. Now it's 1st and 5.
Yeah.
That's when I take a shot to you.
Correct.
Like when the teams are like, oh, we need to come up to the line of scrimmage a little bit because they're going to run the ball here. That's when I throw the ball.
Yeah.
I don't throw the ball when it's 3rd and long and you're playing and there's 5 guys in the secondary. I don't do that.
Exactly.
But everybody thinks they're smarter than everybody else, dude. Like I get it.
I've been saying this so much this weekend. I
get it. All offensive coordinators are brilliant. I get it. But, guys, if you're really brilliant, do what the defense isn't waiting for. Okay? Yeah. That's what you do. That's called brilliant. That's called good play calling. When the defense isn't ready for what I'm going to call, that's good play calling. Okay?
Definitely. No, I agree. All right, let's get to our last game, and that's going to be Florida versus Mizzou. Florida losing to Mizzou, but it was a close game, 33-31, Ray. What's your total thoughts on this one?
I think, again, a very good game, very entertaining to watch. Missouri keeps winning games, and Missouri wins games, and they play – talk about a team that plays at a level of competition every week. That's Missouri.
Yeah.
They play a lot of close games. They play good defense. Their offense is balanced. I honestly, I'm very surprised by how good Missouri's been this year. I didn't expect them to be quite this good. I didn't.
Seriously. Now, I know a little bit about Cooks before he played this year. I didn't think he was going to be this much of a difference, but dude is balling. I mean, he's not your all world, Heisman winning, sexy looking type of quarterback, but this guy gets the job done. 20 for 35, 331 yards, a touchdown in the game. I mean, he's doing what he needs to do to help his team win, and I respect that. I don't think he's, he's not a world-beating type of quarterback. He's not going to be the one that's going to be on ESPN each week. But the guy got composure. He got poise. When they are down, like we say, they are in a lot of tight games. When they are down, this man literally ran his team all the way down the field with 5 seconds left in the game and allowed his core kicker to win a game-winning field goal. So I like guys like that, man. Get your guys in position to win. It doesn't always have to be the sexiest stats. It don't have to be the 4 touchdown games or this and that. But get your guys in position to win the game. And Cook's been doing that all year. I respect him. I really do.
I'll be honest with you. The thing that you see from Missouri is, for one, Cody Schrader is a good football player. They run a balanced attack. In Missouri, and that's what I like about them. They're balanced. They play good, solid team defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good team, man. I'm looking forward to see who they play in the bowl game, and they're probably going to win that game too. To be honest with you, I'm really, again, if I'm a Missouri fan, I'm encouraged by what they've done this year for sure.
No, 100%. I think I'm about to look it up now. Cooks is a junior. I feel like he's going to stay one more year too. So they should be happy about Brady Cook, man, and feel good about him, coming back. Not sure if he's going to go in the NFL. He might, you never know, but
we'll see.
I think he'd be smart to come back. And if he comes back, man, watch out. We got another SEC team in there because Missouri's looking good, man. They are.
They've played really good football this year.
100%.
Man, I'm excited about what they do the next couple of years.
I do too. So, all right, let's get into our game picks. Now, like I said, normally we have our podcast on Wednesdays, so I didn't look into it. I totally forgot that a couple of these games are was being played because of the holiday season. So let's talk about some of the games that we were supposed to pick real quick. And one of them was Iowa versus Nebraska. Now, Iowa win this game 13-10, really close game. What's your quick thoughts on that one, Ray?
I would have had Iowa winning this game. To be honest with you, I had Iowa winning this game, but I think that Nebraska's that team. Like, they have a lot of work to do in Nebraska. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we keep talking about Nebraska and Wisconsin needs to get back to being a big Big Ten team, more physical up front. Everybody's gotten into pass, and they forgot, if you're a Big Ten team, you need to run the ball because of where you play your games.
No, 100%. No, I agree. I think that I'm under consumption because Nebraska and Iowa needs to be better teams. You got UCLA coming in, you got USC coming in. I think I forgot the other team that's coming in, but you got these teams coming into this conference now, and you gotta play better because you don't want to fall behind with those teams, or at least you want to keep up with these teams. Iowa, I think it's one of those teams that can at least compete with those type of teams, but I just think that the talent level between both of these teams, Nebraska and Iowa, was nowhere near the teams that are coming in. So they need to step their game up a little bit and, represent Big Ten football a little better.
Honestly, Jerome, if Nebraska would have played Iowa 20 years ago, the score probably would have been the same.
Yeah.
But the teams would have been more physical and it would have looked better in the way they played.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch that game yesterday, but I'm assuming it was probably boring.
I agree. Yeah. Real quick recap on some of the games that went through, and then we get to our picks real quick, Ray. So notable games, we had Miami beating Boston College 45-20. I think, like we said, Miami's a talented team, but they play Boston College. Let's just say that. They just play Boston.
They do. They don't play complementary football. The
Exactly.
offense doesn't help out the defense or vice versa. They just don't.
Correct. They was up 28-7 at halftime. So
Yeah.
The other game was Oklahoma versus TCU. Oklahoma beating TCU 69-45. We had Boise State beating Air Force 27-19. Missouri, the team that we were just talking about not too long ago, 48-14 on Arkansas. So they pitted on Arkansas. Arkansas had some garbage time touchdowns at the end of the game to win that one. Penn State versus Michigan State, the battles of the states. Penn State blew out Michigan State 42-0. I thought Michigan State is going to be a little bit better this year. Not that good.
That program needs a lot of work, man.
I agree.
Starting with whoever the new coach is going to be.
Yeah. Texas versus Texas Tech, 57-7. That was a blowout game right there. Yeah, Oregon versus Oregon State. That was a blowout game as well, 31-7. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State just fired their head coach, but still can't get that spark. They lost 17-7. Fairly defensive game right there. And that's pretty much the highlight of the teams or the games right there. Well, let's get into our picks real quick, right? And the first one we're going to talk about is Clemson versus South Carolina, right? Who you taking there?
I'm going to take Clemson. I got Clemson.
Yeah, I think so too. They're on a hot streak. And I feel like it's good for Clemson to kind of go out on a high note. 7-4, they'll be 8-4 if they win this game, which is obviously eligible for a bowl game. I think they need something like this. Are they going to be in a championship game? I don't even know that.
I don't know that for sure, to be honest with you, Jerome. I don't know.
Rankings or standings? Standings. Let me see that real quick. Let's see. If they win that game, let's see.
It's hard because Clemson's not ranked anymore, so it's kind of hard to know where they're going.
Yeah. So, shoot, what? Okay. All right. Yeah, they got way too many teams and had it on right now. So no, it would probably be Louisville, and it looks like it's Louisville and Florida
State.
Yeah.
Louisville, Florida State. They're both top 10 teams from the same conference, so it has to be them.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like they won't be able to play in a championship game, but it is good for them to at least get a bowl game, play in a bowl game, make them feel confident into next year, and then they give them a little bit of identity. But I want to take Clemson in this game. I think South Carolina been cooked the last few weeks. While South Carolina is going downward, I think Clemson is going upward. So taking Clemson right there as well. Next game we're going to talk about is UNC versus NC State. We just got done talking about UNC losing to Clemson. NC State is 8-3. UNC is 8-3. Who's taking that, Ray?
I'm taking North Carolina in the game.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a close game. I think it'll be a really close game. But North Carolina is favored by 3, and they're a road team, so
they favor. I don't favor by 2.5. This is again a close game. This might be the one I might disagree with you on. Because I don't know, man. Because this is the thing I always say when it's a close game to me. I always kind of look at the quarterback. Drake May did not play well at all last week, and that gives me concern. Man, this is a tight game for me.
It's funny though, Joe. I'm exactly the opposite of what you just said. I think Drake may struggle last week, so he won't struggle this week.
Yeah, you convinced me. I'm going UNC.
I mean, I just don't honestly. I'm not a huge Drake May fan.
Yeah,
I think he's a big kid. He's talented for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if do you still want to be a top 5 pick? Better play well going down the stretch because teams will nitpick your game. And the only reason why people, you know how GMs are, dude, they're all trying to say, oh, well, this guy may be better than that guy, and that guy may be better, because they're trying to position themselves to get guys they want.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody does it, man. It's like, if anybody doesn't know that Caleb Williams is the best player in college football, just regardless of USC's record, then what are we watching?
Yeah. I agree. All right, let's get to our next game. This line shifted hard. LSU versus Texas A&M. It's funny. Again, I do these picks and I put them in on Monday, so me and Rick kind of prepare for the podcast. This game was not this far off. I was gonna take LSU anyway, but LSU's favored by 12.5 at home to Texas A&M. Who you taking, Ray?
I'm taking LSU. I mean,
yeah,
the line.
I don't know why that line was even close in the beginning, to be honest.
Rivalry game. The rival.
Yeah,
that's the only reason, really. Why
Texas A&M is not they're not a good team, Ray. I'm sorry. I keep wanting them to be every year because you got talent. It's just not a good team. I mean, especially when you have to fire your coach and have a big name like Jimbo Fisher.
I'll be honest with you, Jerome. Here's my thing. Yeah, Texas A&M does have some players on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever gets that job is probably going to be in decent shape as far as talent-wise, unless transfer. Again, here's a transfer portal, or the transfer portal come in and bite Texas A&M in the rear end, where they cost them some players, and they will. It will. Some guys will leave that program because of what they're doing with the coaches.
Yep.
But it's a shame because, again, not a bad roster. Don't play situational football. They just don't. They don't act like they don't care who the other team is. We don't prepare for the other team. In the NFL, you can get away with saying it's not about the other team, it's all about us. Because it is about the talent on your roster.
Yeah.
Making sure they play up to their performance level. But when you're playing in college football, man, you need to be right. You need to be aware of many things, including the weather, crowd noise, and how talented the other roster is, as opposed to and where our matchup advantages are. Texas A&M doesn't do that. They go out there and run the same plays over and over and over again. It kind of reminds me of Notre Dame when we struggle. We run the same 3 or 4 run plays and don't understand why they don't work as well against Louisville as they did against Boston College.
Definitely.
Shocking.
Yeah. So, all right. Speaking of Louisville, we're going to talk about Louisville versus Kentucky. Louisville is at home. They're favored by 8 in this game. Who you taking, Ray?
I got Louisville.
I got Louisville as well. Until I can see that Kentucky can run the ball like they were doing earlier in the year when they were undefeated and they were playing well and it was beating some good teams, I can't take Kentucky. They've just been too inconsistent with the running game.
Louisville has probably, except for like Georgia, Michigan, them and Alabama have probably improved from the first couple of weeks to now more than anybody in college football.
I agree with that.
I think Louisville and Alabama are top 5 teams right now in college football.
I agree. Yeah, they're hot. They're red hot, both of them. And that's why, next week's game is going to be very interesting. I'll talk about that at the end of our picks. But next week's game, that's going to be something that you guys are going to want to watch. I do agree. I think so. Let's go to Pitt versus Duke. Not sure why I can't find that game. Pitt versus Duke.
Well, my thing is favored by 6, and they were at home, so
Duke's favored by 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Duke favored by 5
because I wrote these down on Monday. So
yeah. I'm taking Duke.
Oh, I had Duke too.
Yeah.
I had Duke. I mean, I don't know. They'll cover. I think they'll cover that line. They're a touchdown
I agree.
better than Pitt, even though Pitt played well last week. They're
Yeah,
not. They don't play consistent either. So
yeah. Leonard's still playing, right?
he is.
Okay, yeah. As long as he's the quarterback there, I'm gonna trust in him to be the guy over there, and I'm gonna say he's gonna be good to play. So
Mm-hmm.
I like the chances when he playing. So we'll take a Duke there as well. All right, let's get to our big two teams. Well, big two games. It's very intriguing because it is. It was close. It was the line was a lot closer when I first looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
Now Florida's kind of pulling away a little bit. Florida State, rather. I'm sorry. It's Florida State versus Florida. Florida is 5-6 team. Florida State is the 11-0 team. They're the fifth ranked team right now. So obviously they're looking at trying to get into the playoffs. The issue is they have a huge injury at the quarterback position with Jordan Travis being out. I believe he's out for the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So Ray, what's your thoughts on this game? Will Florida State be able to pull this off? It is a rivalry game. They're going to have a backup quarterback in. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I have faith in winning the game. I think that the quarterback being hurt will make it much closer than it probably should have been.
Yeah.
Florida is home though, so they have a fighting chance.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take Florida State to win the game.
Yeah. This one again. This one's going to be hard for me because I always look at the quarterback position. Now, Rodmaker, I think that's how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a bad quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback at all. But he also didn't have to start. So now you got a new starting quarterback. Florida State got that tendency to get hot and cold sometimes, man. I mean, I'm sorry, Florida does. They're 5-6 right now. They play some good teams, so I don't want to knock them too much because obviously you have to win. You have to beat the best to be the best. So they're not the best. They're not a good team because they can't beat the best. But they be in these games and having a backup quarterback. Now, who we say Florida State's at home?
No,
Florida's home.
Florida's at home.
That's so hard. I'm going to say Florida's going to upset them. I'm just going to say that. It's going to be hard. If anything, it's going to be a close game. I think Florida State is the better team. Their defense is really good, but I don't know. They're not going to be at home. It's going to be a hostile environment. I know Florida feel like they're going to have a chance. So that fan base is going to go crazy. Again, a rivalry game, a lot of pressure on the quarterback to make sure the team, stays undefeated. That's a lot. That's a lot to ask for. Again, this Florida team is it's not a terrible team. The record is terrible. They haven't beaten the best, but they can keep up with a lot of good teams. So I'm going to slightly give it to Florida just because they're home. If they wasn't home, I'll give it to Florida State all day. But I'm going to give it to Florida just because they're home. And the quarterback position.
I mean, here's the thing. If I could depend on Graham Mertz not to turn the ball over,
sure.
I'd say, yeah, I think – and there is an aspect of this is a huge game for Florida. If they win this game – it'll make them feel good about themselves for at least for a week or two. If they lose this game, it's a really frustrating season.
Yeah.
So that part of it, I think, will have Florida come out playing the best football they can.
Yeah.
Don't know if are they going to give the ball to Montrell Johnson more than like 15 times to let him use it? If they do that, if they come out and try to run the ball and then use Graham Mertz as to make some plays downfield, throw the ball downfield, they have a shot at winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Florida State's a little better than them, a little more physical up front. So I think they're going to win a close game. But it is a huge game for Florida, without a doubt. It's like it's their season in one game. So, I mean, there is a lot to be said about a desperate team.
Yeah.
Florida State, it's a shame their quarterback got hurt because that is probably going to take them out of the playoff picture. Because
Yeah.
again, even though players shouldn't be a deciding factor, we all know that if the team doesn't have a starting quarterback, teams are not going to want to play in big games. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
No, I agree. I think that, I agree with everything you say, right? I just think, I don't know, I just feel like they're going to come out strong and try to beat this team. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be a cool game to watch. I hope it's not. Is it the same time as it is? No, it's at 7:00. So I'll get to watch both Michigan and I get to watch this game. So I think this is going to be one of the games I'll watch tonight just to see. I want to see firsthand how they play.
I have the Michigan game in Ohio State at noon. Is that correct?
Yeah. They're at noon. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Florida FSU game is at 7.
Yeah,
So
I understood that. I don't understand why that game, why your game.
I don't know. Every year they do that. Every year it's at noon. It's weird.
That should be a prime time game, dude. That's a huge game.
Yeah. And while we're talking about it, let's talk about it, man. Michigan, Ohio State. I'm trying to sound like what's his name? Gus.
Yeah.
Ohio State, the biggest game of the year. It's the game. But looking at these teams, man, their stat line is very similar. It's only 2 differences. Blake Corum on the ground and Marvin Harrison in the air catching the ball. That's the biggest difference between these teams. As far as stat-wise, they're very similar in stat-wise. Quarterbacks are very similar stats. All the other players, similar stats. That's the only 2 things that are a little bit different. I will say Trey Henderson has improved this year. He looks a little bit better this year. McCord playing better. Obviously, I'm taking Michigan. I mean, I'm a Michigan fan. You guys already know that. I'm taking Michigan. I'm curious what's your total thoughts on this, Ray, though?
Unlike Michigan, I think that they're a 3.5-point favorite. I mean, they are at home, so that kind of makes sense. I don't like the fact that Harbaugh's not allowed to be at the game. I don't get it. This is a big game. This is why I don't think that's really the way you should have done this. But honestly, I don't want to get back into the Jim Harbaugh thing too much. I think that all this suspension should have waited until next year.
I agree. It is kind of messed up. You do a suspension. Like, I think a mid-season suspension should be something a little bit more egregious than possibly the coach knowing about a cheating situation, especially when it was still in investigation, and I think it still is, if I'm not mistaken.
As far as I know, it bothers me. If you want to fine him, take money out of his pocket, that's fine. Don't hurt the kids on the team.
I agree.
That's what bothers me.
Yeah,
I agree. Not only hurting the Michigan program, which is fine. I get that. You want to hurt the program a little bit. You're going to find the coach. You don't hurt the kids that are playing football because they have nothing to do with coaching decisions.
Correct.
And you've taken a little bit of the shine away from them, which I don't like.
Correct. No, I agree.
I don't like the idea of you suspending the coach. It's almost like a witch hunt. Like some of the teams, the SEC teams, were like, "Oh, we need to do something about Jim Harbaugh." Come on, guys. Yeah, man. Honestly, this is not just coaches. This is everybody in general. Before you start throwing stones at other people, man, go home and look in the mirror, man, and say, you know what? Should I make a big deal about this? Honestly, if we're all being real about it, we're probably thinking, nah, probably not.
Yeah. I think that my biggest thing with Jim Harbaugh not being there is, and I can't remember his name, the coach that's in right now, Bethany, I forgot his name.
Yeah. The offensive coordinator.
Yeah. So my issue with him is that, one, now that he has to be the offensive coordinator, the offense has been kind of sputtering a little bit because he has to be the head coach, and that kind of worries me a little bit.
Mhm.
I do like the fact that he had some time to kind of like, adjust to being a head coach and stuff like that. Got some time before this game. My other issue is I don't know if he's trying to be too conservative to the get into this game because when watching that Penn State game, they was running a lot. And don't get me wrong, that's what we're built to. But like you gotta mix it up a little bit, man. You can't just keep trying to run against a Ohio State team like this. Struggled against the offense with the passing game last week as well. So my thing is it like a coordinator call playing thing because the fact that he has to be head coach now, or hey, let's be conservative, let's get ourselves into this game, and then we can kind of let our chips fall when they're supposed to fall. I don't know. It just looks strange the last couple of weeks without Harbaugh, and it's kind of weird because it's the same team, but it's a different feel to the team. It's so that would be my biggest concern with this. But like I've been saying, and I've been beating this drum, this Michigan defense is really, really, really good. I like this defense. I'm gonna bank on this defense getting some interceptions, getting some sacks, pressure. Now, this defense does give up yards sometimes, which is fine. That's any defense, but bend but don't break. They're gonna create, like I said, create turnovers, create sacks, pressures. You need to do that in this game because you do not want to see Marvin Harrison open up this game. It was kind of like that last year where we kind of shut him down a little bit, and that's the same kind of mindset you need to do. Like you got to do whatever you can to shut him down. The only thing is, like I said, Trey Henderson's playing a little better, so they're gonna try to mix it up a little bit. I think Ohio State to win this game, they're gonna have to run the ball. They're gonna have to. I'm still not 100% sold on McCord. He's been playing better lately, but this team don't run through him. This team runs through Marvin Harrison, play action, run game, things like that. Ohio State does have a really good defensive line too. That kind of scares me a little bit. But Michigan has a really good offensive line. So we'll see. One of them have to win, obviously. I like Michigan. They're at home. Defense is playing really well. You control the clock, you control the ball, keep the ball out of the offense's hands so that you don't have to worry about a Trey Henderson or a Marvin Harrison, open up the game. you keep the ball away from him a little bit, do some play action, get some scoring. Roman Wilson is a very underrated wide receiver. I think he has potential to go in the NFL, play very well. He reminds me of Ronnie Bell actually, which plays for the 49ers and doing some solid stuff as a rookie. So
imagine how good he could be if he had a real good quarterback.
You talking about Wilson?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say? JJ's not a good quarterback? That's crazy. You're not a fan of him?
Scares me, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
He had, like I said, he hasn't been playing good lately. I'll give you that. He hasn't.
He's a good-looking kid, though.
Say it again?
He's a good-looking kid, though.
Okay.
It's funny. Whenever I watch Ohio or I'm sorry, Michigan. Oh man, that quarterback's good looking. I'm like, okay. I don't care. Yeah.
Here we go with the Michigan.
Like stuff. The hair stuff, he's got it going on, brother. What are you gonna do?
Hey man, when you're young and you can flaunt it like that, do it where you can.
Plus, you're a quarterback in Michigan, so
that's true.
All gravy from there, brother.
But I'm very curious to see how this goes, man. Because I again, Michigan fan. I want to see this team do well. I have bigger aspirations. Just got to play a little bit better. Get Harbaugh back in. See what we can do from there. If this game is a close loss for Michigan, you believe they're still in the playoff, right?
I do. I think either one lose a close game and still be a playoff team. I do.
Okay.
I got you. I think
so. Let's talk about this, Ray, because I know we can talk about it a little bit more next week. It's a championship game of the SEC championship game. Obviously, it's going to be Georgia and Alabama. That game's already in the books. It's already scheduled. This is not something new. Both teams are playing very well. Alabama's red hot right now. Let's say Alabama does wind up playing Georgia, and then we get a Ohio State loss this week.
Alabama.
Real? Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Even if it's a close game.
I think if Alabama beats Georgia, they're a top 4 team. If that means
I think so too.
Does that mean Ohio State's out if they lose or Michigan's out if they lose? Yeah, I think that's the case. I do.
So this okay. Crazy situation.
Yeah.
Michigan wins.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week, Georgia lost. Is Michigan number 1?
Yes.
And then, okay, so you have Michigan. How would you rank it, Ray?
Then I would go Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia.
You have Alabama 2?
Yes.
Whoa. I get it.
Because I have to judge where they've come the last 2 months of the season.
I agree.
And the fact that their quarterback is playing as well as has since he started playing.
I agree. I will have to go Michigan 1 just because undefeated, and it kind of depends on Ohio State how we beat them. I'll still give Georgia 2. I will probably give Alabama.
So
see, that's the thing. I will mix it. I don't know how I would do Alabama and Ohio State, but I have all 4 of them, man.
I would too, but you're going to have Alabama, Georgia rated ahead of a team that they just lost to?
I think so, just on a track record as well.
I don't know.
I feel like they do that as well.
And I'm going to go into your way of thinking about it. And if I were going to say that I agree with you, it would be because Alabama lost to a lesser team than Georgia lost to. I get that part of it.
Yeah.
If Alabama beats Georgia losing to Alabama is like Alabama losing to whoever they lost to earlier in the year. And I don't remember what it was, to be honest with you.
Plus, you got to think about it like this too, Ray. You're going to have Alabama with a 1 loss, right? They're at number 8 right now. So you're going to be jumping Washington, who might be undefeated. Florida State, we got to see how that goes because the quarterback's out, who's number 5. And then a really good Oregon at 6. So you're going to be jumping all those teams too. I think you have to justify jumping them. I don't think you can pick them top 2.
You want justification for it?
Right?
You want justification for it? Okay. What teams were you just saying again? Give me them teams again.
Washington.
Okay.
Florida State.
Okay.
And Oregon. Oregon's the only other 1 lost team.
Or Alabama. You tell me.
No, I want to put Alabama in there. Don't get me wrong.
Or Alabama.
Don't get me wrong. Because, all right, we're going to have Washington, Oregon State. One of those teams is going to win, one of those going to lose. That's the next game in December. So that's their championship game.
Mm-hmm.
So if Washington wound up winning, they're going to be 12-1. Granted, they're going to win. I'm sorry, 13-1. Granted, we're assuming that they're going to beat Washington State this week. That's what we're doing right now, right?
Sure.
So we're going to say they beat Washington State. They beat Oregon 13-0. You're going to have a 13-0 team be out of the playoffs because Alabama beat Georgia and Michigan beat Ohio State. Now, I don't think you can knock off Ohio State out of the top 4 because they were number 1 at one point, and the only reason they got to 2 because Georgia been there. Then you also got Michigan, who just beat Ohio State. Then you also have Alabama that just beat Georgia. Now, I don't think you can knock Georgia out too far down because, 1, the track record, 2, they're Georgia. Michigan's going to be probably up there because they undefeated, and they're probably going to win their championship as well. Then you're going to have a 13-0 Washington sitting there, not in the playoffs. I think the only way you could justify that is keeping Alabama at 4, and then Washington 5. That's the only way I think you can justify that. Outside of that, you're gonna have people pissed.
Is there anybody except for a Washington fan who thinks that would not beat handily? I think they would.
Yeah, oh yeah, they would. 100%.
So what are we talking about? A record of a Pac-12 team, which, let's face it, doesn't really mean a whole lot because the Pac-12 teams don't play defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying theoretically is correct, but my eyes test would tell me that Alabama should be rated higher than them.
Oh, no. I'm not saying it should be. Alabama's going to be higher now. I'm saying Alabama would be at 4 because of that. I don't think you can pick Alabama as a top 2 team and then just straight up jump a undefeated Washington team. You have to justify it to make it seem like Alabama and Washington's a close.
You know what it is,
4 and 5.
And I'm a bad guy because I'll justify it. One is Alabama and one's Washington.
I know.
Okay, like again, it doesn't sound like a great evaluation, but one's Alabama and one's Washington.
We'll see. Well, if this scenario happens, it's gonna be very intriguing. I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to watch this game today, guys. But that's gonna do it for us today, guys. I appreciate everything. Before we get off, Ray, do you have a rant?
No, I don't have a rant, but I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Sharon Moore has done a really good job, running the ship and keeping it right in Michigan. Mm-hmm. If you're a Michigan State fan, alum, AD, would you have any interest in it as a head coach?
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right.
I would hate it as a Michigan fan. That's gross. But yeah.
All right. I just because Michigan State, used to be a relevant program 5-10 years ago, and now they're really not. So
yeah. What was the head coach that's there? I
don't remember that. Oh, Tucker.
Mel Tucker. Yeah, Mel Tucker. Really good recruiter. I don't think he's a great coach. And I think
he got fired because of a lot of personal stuff.
Yeah, that personal stuff too. Yeah. But even then, before the personal stuff, Michigan State, they had that one, maybe 2 years ago, they played us really well, and then they beat us with Kenneth Walker, and that dude tore us up in that game. But outside of that, man, Michigan State has been mediocre, and it's crazy because they keep getting all these. That had that really good year of recruiting. I think it was a year ago or 2, and then ever since then, I don't know. It's just been downhill from there. So maybe some of that allegation stuff had something to do with it or tied into it. I don't know. I don't like to get into it, mixing that with football, but. Mel Tucker was, I'm not going to say he was too hyped because he did change that program a little bit, but at the same time, Michigan State was never that team, No. So, I don't know.
Honestly, they have not really been relevant for 5 years now.
Yeah.
They really haven't been. And I thought Mel Tucker did a good job there, and that his teams played hard every week.
Correct.
We're not the most talent-laden team, but they played hard every week. And then you hear the personal stuff, you're like, all right, well, okay. So it's time to move on. And I don't care about Michigan State. I do have some friends that are Michigan State fans.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't really care one way or the other about them. I just like it better when all the teams are or at least relevant and playing good football. So
correct. No, I agree with that. Especially in the age of transfer portal, you're going to have a lot of teams kind of it's going to be a pocket of teams that are going to be really, really good. Then you have okay teams, and you're going to have a lot of teams because there is a transfer portal. So
yeah, I'm not. I'm old, so it don't matter what I think. I get that, but. No. I don't like where college football is going, Jerome. I don't. I don't like where it's going, dude. Yeah. We've created a free agency atmosphere and
with no money.
But here's the thing, and I don't want to get
technically. I'm sorry, I said no money.
Yeah, I know you have a busy day ahead of you, and I'm a fairly busy day today too. So, but it's with the NIL money coming in, what happens if a guy goes to Michigan, say Michigan State or Michigan gets his NIL money from there? Now he can go to another team and get more NIL money from that team. When that starts happening, like on a somewhat or hopefully not regular basis, that's when we have entered the porthole of hell. Okay, guys.
I mean, it kind of already happened with Ewers.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but when we're talking about guys worried about getting money from 2 or 3 different in the NIL stuff in the transfer portal and using that as a way to get more money, then we have really entered the portal of hell, guys. And college football is never going to be the same. Yeah. So for all of you guys like me, I hope that really truly love college football, it's not going to be fun, guys. Just not.
We're going to see, man. We're going to see. There's always politics in it. They always add politics and stuff. So.
Yeah, politics. Blah. Blah. What about the dirtiest word? The dirtiest word in the English vocabulary should be politicians. Okay, dude.
I agree.
Political. They're like, ugh. I'd rather hear an F-bomb than politics any day of the week. Okay.
That's funny. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. We do appreciate you guys. I'm going to start preparing for this Michigan-Ohio State game. But once again, please follow us. We do appreciate everybody that's on. Appreciate Chris being on early this morning. I know we're a little early on a Saturday morning, but we got a lot of things we need to do before these games. But we appreciate y'all. If you can't get on live with us, definitely hit that replay value. Hit your comments down below. If who you think is going to win today before the game. Don't say it after the game. I see the timestamps. Don't be like, oh, I thought this team was going to win. And I seen you was waiting till the fourth quarter to say that. I see you guys. I know how some of y'all operate. But tell us who y'all think is going to win today. Tell us, give you some of your predictions. How you think the rank is going to be? Tell us how you think the rank is going to be if that scenario happens where we have a Michigan win and a Alabama win next week. So we're going to talk a little bit more intensively of that next week. But thank you guys for getting on with us. That's going to do it for us. If you don't mind hitting that QR code right in that corner right there, right under Ray, that takes you to all our social media. We're on our path to 10,000 followers right now. We got 8,000. We're looking to get 10,000. Hope before the end of the year. It's kind of steep. It's kind of a big, lofty goal. But if you guys support, I know we can do it. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Enjoy your college football Saturday. I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited. Peace. Have a good one.